Hello, my sweet stitchers! So happy you're here! As I mentioned in the previous video, where we made the legs, in this video we'll be making the doll's body starting from the legs. We'll make it as one continuous piece, so there won't be any sewing. Then we have the two legs we made in the previous lesson, one with an invisible finish and the other still on the hook. To begin the body, we need to be positioned at the left side stitch of the leg that's on the hook. If this is the front of the leg, when we flatten the top opening, we can identify the side stitches. Work as many single crochets as needed until you're positioned at the left side stitch. In my case, I only need to work one single crochet. This leaves the hook at the left side stitch. Now chain 3. Take the leg with the invisible finish and begin working into it at the right side stitch here. Work 18 single crochets around the 18 stitches of the leg. Next, work 3 single crochets into the 3 chains. You can see the 3 small bumps on the back of each chain. Work each single crochet by inserting your hook under the loop just above those bumps. Now work 18 single crochets around the other leg, starting where we began. Make the first stitch using the loop technique I showed you in the previous lesson, so there won't be any gaps, since we need to join the stitch that's on the hook to the first available stitch on the leg, and the distance between them is quite large. Pick up one loop from the stitch that's already been worked on the next leg, and one loop from the following stitch, the one that hasn't been worked yet and where we should have started. You'll have 3 loops on the hook. Pull through all of them at once. This is the first of the 18 single crochets. Continue working. We now have a new round of 42 stitches, 18 from each leg, 3 on one side of the chain, and 3 on the other side of the chain. Now work 2 rounds of 42 single crochets around these 42 stitches. Begin with the 3 chain stitches that come next. If you look closely, you can see the 3 loops that correspond to each chain. If this happens to you and you have a loop that's stretched too much and could leave a gap in your work, I'll show you how to fix it. Make the first single crochet and place your stitch marker. This happened to me in the first stitch, but it can happen at any point in the project. We can fix it in 2 ways. Always try the first option. Fill the gap with loops. Pick up one loop where the gap is, then pick up one loop from the stitch you need to work next, and pull through all the loops together. As you can see, the gap closes up. If that isn't enough and there's still a gap after doing this, repeat the same step by picking up those same 2 loops again. But this time, pick up the first loop from below the gap, right here. Then pick up one loop from the stitch you need to work next, and pull through all the loops together. As I explained in the previous lesson, this forces the work to tighten up. Continue working. We've now worked the 3 chain stitches. If you have trouble finding the next stitch, always look for the first available stitch. This stitch has already been worked because it has a stitch on top of it, but the next one hasn't. That will be the first stitch of the leg. Remember, we're working 42 single crochets, and we'll make 2 rounds. This can be a little confusing at the beginning, but after that the stitches follow one after another, and you won't have any trouble finding them. If during these rounds you end up with 1 stitch too many or 1 too few, don't worry. Simply make an increase or a decrease anywhere in the round, whichever you need. It's important to have 42 stitches when you finish, and it won't affect the piece at all. Now work 4 rounds of 42 single crochets with the light green yarn, working over the 42 white stitches. You can begin in any stitch. I recommend using a color change technique that gives a neat finish, since the doll's clothing is removable and the details of the body will be visible. I'll make an invisible finish around the white edge, just as I showed you in the previous lessons of this course, before starting with the light green yarn. Now work 4 more rounds of 42 single crochets, this time with the white yarn. When you finish the white section, change to the skin color you've chosen for your doll. The pattern for this section is as follows. Then switch back to the white yarn and follow this pattern. Switch back to the skin color and we'll begin at the center stitch of the back. If these are the heels, then this is the back. To find it easily, flatten the sides of the body so you can identify the center stitch of the back. This one. Begin by working 10 single crochets. Now we'll attach one of the arms that we made in a previous lesson of this course. To know which of the 2 arms to attach, look at the following. This is the front of the doll. Attach the arm that, at this point, has the thumb facing forward with the palm of the hand facing the body. Not this one. But this one. We'll begin working into the stitch that corresponds to the center of the palm of the hand. If this is the palm of the hand, then this is the stitch. Starting from that stitch, work 12 single crochets around the 12 stitches of the arm. Now return to the white stitches and work 19 single crochets. As I explained before, since I need to join 2 edges, I'll use the loop technique for the first stitch to avoid leaving any gaps. I'll pick up 1 loop from the next stitch of the piece I'm working on, even though it's already been worked. Then I'll pick up another loop from the worked white stitch on the body. And then I'll pick up 1 loop from the next unworked stitch, the one I should have picked up first. I now have 4 loops on the hook, and I'll pull through all of them together. As I explained before, this forces the work to close up and fills the gap with loops. This is the first of the 19 single crochets. Now we'll attach the other arm with the palm of the hand facing the body and the thumb facing forward. Find the stitch that corresponds to the center of the palm of the hand and begin working there. Again, work 12 single crochets around the 12 stitches of the arm. Return to the white stitches of the body and work 10 single crochets across the remaining 10 stitches, beginning with the loop technique so there won't be any gaps at the underarm. We now have a new round of 63 stitches, the back, the 2 arms, and the front of the doll. Continue working in continuous rounds with the skin color around these 63 stitches to finish building the body, the neck, and the head. We'll do that following this pattern. As I explained in the video where we made the socks, sometimes you may end up with stitches that are larger or more stretched out. And when you work into them, they can leave a gap that doesn't look very nice. To fix this, instead of working into the V of that stitch, work into the loop that's underneath the gap, right here. This pushes the gap upward, so it's no longer visible. Here's another one, and we'll do the same thing. Continue working. Before working the last rounds, where we'll close the opening to form the neck, we'll focus on stuffing the shoulder area, because later it will be difficult to do it through the small opening of the neck. You can use a tool to help you. 1. Form the neck. Stuff the area where the arms join the body really well, both at the front and the back, to finish shaping it. There shouldn't be any dents or sunken areas that show a lack of stuffing. At this point, or whenever you think it's most convenient, place a support inside the doll to help it hold the weight of the head. This isn't a large doll, but the head has many pieces. The support should pass through the neck and extend into both the head and the body. In this case, I'll use a wooden dowel that's thick and sturdy enough to provide the support I need. It should be made of a rigid material. If it's plastic, even better. The support should pass through the neck and extend at least halfway into the head and halfway into the body. If it's longer than necessary, trim it to size. Before inserting it, make sure the shoulders and the area where the arms join the body are well stuffed. Insert it through the opening in the head and down through the neck, twisting it gently as you go, so it works its way through the stuffing until it's in position. With your other hand, hold the body so you can feel whether the support is drifting and pushing outward, toward the front or toward the back. If you can feel the support pressing against your fingers, change its direction. It should pass exactly through the center, between the stuffing, not against the sides of the work. Continue working until the opening is closed. If the support still allows you to add stuffing into the neck, do so. You may need to use a tool to help push it into place. Continue working. When only a small opening remains and you're finishing stuffing the head, make sure to stuff the base of the head really well. This will smooth out the marks left by the increases we made when we started the head. So it keeps a nice rounded shape without any unusual bumps. Place the stuffing around the support, keeping it centered. Once both the lower and upper parts of the head are well stuffed, cut a long yarn tail and thread it onto a yarn needle to finish closing the opening. Simply weave through the last 12 stitches, going in front of one stitch and behind the next. Then pull the yarn tail to gather the opening and close it completely. It doesn't matter how this seam looks, because the hair pieces will cover it later. Finally, tie a knot and hide the yarn tail inside the head. The doll's body is now complete. Next, we'll make the hair. But we'll do that in the next video. All right, my sweet stitchers, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!